What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the next episode here on the Sports Talk with Hawk podcast. Thank you so much for stopping in. I hope your week has gone well as we head into the weekend and the first weekend of the NFL playoffs here in 2025. Lots of big matchups. Lots of big matchups. So, this episode will be the precursor as you guys are listening on Friday. This episode will be the kind of preview podcast. We got the games coming up this weekend, and we're going to take a look. I'm going to make my picks, and we'll see where they fall. Some news that came out today. Jalen Hurts is trending in the right direction to play. Now, that does not always mean something, though. That does not always mean something. Um, Reality is the NFL has taken a very hard, safe, correct stance when it comes to concussions. I have no problem with guys being out for 3 weeks with concussions. I have no problem with the NFL forcing the Miami Dolphins basically to put Tua on IR after another concussion, of which, now he's trying to cover things up. I have no issue with Trevor Lawrence going on IR. I have no issue with Chris Olave going on IR. Look, the reality is you can do a lot with your body, and your arms can break down, your legs can break down. But if you have a concussion and your mind breaks down, you aren't as good as you could be. And you have a lot of limitations. Deion Sanders, for all the stuff, with him not walking great, his mind is still very sharp. When you listen to Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, the concussions have gotten to Troy Aikman's head. If you actually listen to him talk closely, he repeats himself a lot, you just don't realize it. Concussions hurt. My view is this: after a third concussion, you should be medically uncleared to play football. After a third concussion, your body cannot handle the blows. It's a real thing. So, although Jalen Hurts is trending in the right direction for Sunday, I'm really gonna pick the game loosely between the Packers and Eagles because I do think the result it should be different if Jalen Hurts plays. I do. Now, he's been out for a couple weeks, so how crisp he is may not be great. But I do think that game has the most injuries involved. Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts. That game's the most intriguing of the weekend when it comes to the injuries that are there. But let's pick the rest of the games. Let's take a look at the games that we have. So first we have the Chargers at the Texans. Everybody is coming in really hard on the Chargers. I'm not going to buy it. There is something for great coaching. There is. Great coaching can get you to the playoffs. Great culture can get you to the playoffs. But in the playoffs, you need the skill to be able to win. The Charger defense versus the Houston Texan offense is the game that you're going to be watching, because the Houston Texan defense versus the Charger offense is a mismatch. DeMeco Ryans will have the defense ready in playoff mode to play hard. They have a big advantage. They had the week 14 bye. Then they had the 3 games in 11 days stretch, which then gave them the extended rest before that final game last week where the Titans were purposely losing, before they have their home playoff game. The Texans are used to this. This is where they've been. They play at 4:30 on Saturday every time they make the playoffs. The Chargers, not that bad of a flight out to Houston. I bet you they're already out of there because of the fires that are in LA. But I'm going to take, and normally you don't, I'm going to take the energetic defensive coach at home with a offensive coordinator that I believe will rise, Bobby Slowick, will rise to the occasion with CJ Stroud, give him the tight end screens, give him the halfback screens needed to make this work. The defense will matter. Derek Stingley versus Ladd McConkey. That's the game that you're going to have to watch. And then Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter versus Alt and Rashawn Slater. This game is a lot better than what people are going to throw at it because it's the Texans. Don't you sleep on the damn Texans. They've been called the enigma of the NFL. Nobody can figure them out. Well, guess what? I know what they are in the playoffs, and they win the home playoff game consistently. They can do it. And if everything goes the higher seed in the victory column, they're playing in Kansas City, which they've already done. And played the Chiefs really close. Stuffed them. Played them hard. So the reality is, I believe the Texans are better right now at home, playoff atmosphere. Chargers are young. They're not going to be fully ready for it offensively. Defensively, Bosa and Mack are ready for this. Offensively, no. Look for the false starts from the interior line. Look for the nickel double blitz, double zone blitz to come from DeMeco Ryans, straight up the gut. Look for the double gap blitzes, making Herbert throw the ball quick. He still has plantar. That stuff doesn't go away. Making Herbert use his feet quick. If Herbert has time, the Chargers could win. If they pressure him the way I believe they will, there's no shot. I'm going to take the Texans 27-20. Good playoff game. It's going to be aggressive. You're going to have probably 3 sacks by both sides. So, plenty to be able to run off of. But I think it's going to be a lot better game than people realize. And last year, the Texans played the Browns so well. People turned the game off because it was over. You're not going to want to do this. This game, Jim Harbaugh, DeMeco Ryans, good football game. I'm excited for it. The money's coming in on the Chargers. I'm taking the Texans at home, 27-20. Now, Baltimore at Pittsburgh, Saturday night, exclusively on Prime Video. Much better than that stupid game last year that was on Peacock. Dumbest thing the NFL did. Give Peacock regular season games, fine. Playoff games, most everybody has Amazon Prime. You're not robbing anybody then. And anybody that does feel like it can sign up for it. I guarantee you, for Amazon Prime, if they get 100 more subscribers, they're happy with the money they paid. I looked. I looked at how much money I saved on shipping and deals because of Amazon Prime in this past year. I'm not saying the number out loud because I don't want to. Amazon Prime is used. It has been great for the consumer. And the reality is, the money they paid isn't to get thousands of new subscriptions, it's to get hundreds because then it's renewed. And most of the time, they do renew. Now, the football game itself, this is hard, and here's why it's difficult. The Ravens have gone away from what they need to be in the playoffs. The question in this game isn't who's the better team. That's the Ravens. That is the Ravens, hands down. The question in the game is, which Baltimore offense are we going to see? The one that makes Lamar throw it 60 times? Or the one that uses Derrick Henry correctly? The one that uses play action correctly? I gotta believe they figured out their faults in big games. I gotta believe they figured it out. And I am going to say the Ravens will cover. 9.5, 10-point favorites. I am going to say the Ravens will cover. Mike Tomlin, see, and I've talked about this in the previous two podcasts. Mike Tomlin is in a great organization, one of the absolute best. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin. The culture, the organizational structure, everything is so good in Pittsburgh. You can't lose in Pittsburgh. Yes, I remember the Cordell Stewart years, the Charlie Batch, Tommy Maddox. I remember those years. I do. Pittsburgh is just that well run. And in a day and age where you have owners with legitimate money now who didn't used to have money making decisions that affect the money line, being successful prior to having money matters more now. The Pittsburgh Steelers, there are plenty of young coaches that could go there. If I'm Ben Johnson and Mike Tomlin was fired, it'd be the first offensive coach they would hire. Mike McCarthy or Ben Johnson would absolutely work in Pittsburgh. They can get a quarterback. Pittsburgh understands that the ownership will understand we may need to make a move for somebody. They understand. They'll understand if we have to wait a year to draft a guy who can really actually get us where we need to go. They understand. Ownership's fantastic. But the reality is the roster isn't that great right now. And the coaching, I'm not sure, is actually really being hurt. 4-game losing streak heading into the playoffs. From 10-3 to 10-7. Again. Baltimore has learned. They were rocky earlier in the year. They've closed out the year fantastic. I like Baltimore. I like the double-digit victory. 31-10 is kind of what I'm feeling in this game right now. Maybe 31-17, but 31-10, 31-17, something like that. That's what I'm feeling right now. That's where we're at currently. All right, Sunday, the opening game. I said this in the last podcast. You can win. Here's how. I said this at the end of it. Sean McDermott could be fired if they lose to the Broncos on Sunday. Now, I don't see it happening. The Broncos have taken advantage of their schedule, as they should, but they are a young team. The defense will be even better next year, as will the offense. But right now, Buffalo's better. Buffalo is flat out better. And they're better where the Broncos may not be able to control. They are better at the quarterback position, being able to do things quarterbacks don't generally do. Do I think Josh Allen's going to have to put on the cape? Not really. I think the Buffalo offensive line will be able to move the Broncos a little bit. James Cook and Davis should have a little bit of room. They had their dress rehearsal, come out for a play, last week against the Patriots. Big deal. They're healthier. The defense is ready to roll. Von Miller got his bonus last week. Von Miller's ready to play. He didn't start the year. He's not as tired. He's fresh. I like where this team is at. I've got Buffalo actually winning substantially. What people forget about the first round of the playoffs, everybody gets all bent out of shape. You heard it with the college football playoff. Man, these games are horrible. How many NFL playoff games have we seen to open up the first round and they're just blowouts? I mean, good grief. Do you remember the back-to-back years the Colts played the Broncos with Manning? They blew them out. It happens. The Broncos are young. They made the playoffs. They got their playoff bonuses. Guess what? You just got to get there. When you're rebuilding, just get there. Just getting there isn't good enough for the Philadelphia Eagles when you have arguably one of the top 3 rosters in the NFL. You've got the legitimate talent. You've spent the legitimate money. That's when making the playoffs doesn't matter. Only 2 teams can make the Super Bowl. Only one team from both sides, the AFC and the NFC, get there. It's rare air. Making the playoffs for a rebuilding team like the Broncos and the Commanders and even the Chargers was huge. Absolutely huge. So here we go. I've got the Bills blowing them out, barring the weather. I'll put that caveat on it. I've got the Bills winning either way. But barring the weather, whether it's actually a blowout or whether it's, you know, kind of a slugfest-ish, and then they end up pulling a hook and ladder play to Josh Allen for a touchdown in the snow. Just kind of depends. But I got Buffalo either way. So right now I do have the top 3 seeds in the AFC all winning. The team that I say could win the most is the Chargers. They're in a dome. Their defense matches up well. That is the team I would say of the 3 wildcard teams that could win their game. Sean Payton I love. Bo Nix I love. The Broncos aren't ready to compete against the Bills. The Bills are my Super Bowl pick. Period. The Bills are my Super Bowl pick. Because the only time they're going to be on the road is going to be against Kansas City. That would be the only time. All right, then we get to the NFC games. I don't like how they didn't switch them at all. I know Fox wanted the Packers and the Eagles. I know that's the matchup they wanted. NBC gets Baker Mayfield and Jaden Daniels, the rookie. And then Monday Night Football gets the Vikings and the Rams. I thought you could have switched the Steelers and Ravens and the Vikings and Rams. But that just means that the winner of the Vikings and Rams game will play the Sunday afternoon game in the divisional round. That's what that means. That is what that means. That is exactly how this will play out. So you know whoever it is coming into Monday night, you know where they're playing. No matter which one's the winner, you know where they're playing. So, Eagles and Packers. I said I was going to have a caveat. I'm picking the Eagles if Hurts is there. I'm going to pick them by 3 points. If Hurts is not there, I'm picking the Packers. Also by 3 points. The thing about this game, I don't like it. I do not like it. I don't know if Sirianni is going to have his boys ready to play. Can we just be honest? Sirianni is a horrible playoff coach. Dreadful. Horrible playoff coach. I don't know if he's going to be ready to play Matt LaFleur, who's a very good playoff coach. The Philadelphia Eagle defensive line has been playing better. The matchup's going to be Matt LaFleur versus Vic Fangio. That's the actual matchup. That's the matchup that will be the key to the game, whoever wins. If Fangio wins that matchup, the Eagles win. If LaFleur wins that matchup, the Packers win. It doesn't matter about the offense. Sirianni's offense, he's not a good enough playoff coach. He's not good enough time management. He's not good enough situationally. He's got all the pressure because if he loses, he knows he's fired. And he knows if he doesn't win the next week even, he's still probably fired. So he's got all this pressure. He fails underneath it. I think they can win if Hurts plays. They're just too talented. But I think it's a field goal. It could be overtime. Like, that's how even I believe this game really is. That is how even this game is. I gotta go. I gotta go Eagles if Hurts plays, and I gotta go Packers if Kenny Pickett starts, or McKee, whichever one it is. Whoever the backup is, doesn't matter. So there's my picks for the Eagles Packers game, I guess. I don't like it. It's a game I really want to stay away from. Now, the next game I'm looking forward to Sunday Night Football in Tampa Bay. Warm weather, Jayden Daniels, the rookie MVP. Yes, I said it. He should be, absolutely should be the rookie of the year MVP. Best offensive rookie of the year. Flat out. Jayden Daniels made the playoffs with the Washington Commanders. They've got a good thing set up. Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury. Kingsbury has a 3-year contract. I don't think he's going anywhere this offseason. He looks like he's having fun calling plays for a quarterback he believes in. So I'm excited about this game. Baker Mayfield, the Bucks do have some tendency issues. They're up and they're down. They're up and they're down. How do I see this one playing out? I guess the easiest way for me to put it is, do I believe that the Buccaneers defense can stop the legs of Jayden Daniels? Which, by the way, last week got rested in the second half. He didn't take a ton of hits. They played it easy. They played Marcus Mariota. I like what Dan Quinn did. I really do. Could the Tampa defense stop the legs of Jayden Daniels? I'm not worried about the up the gut running game of the Commanders. I think they can get the edge. Vita Vea, absolutely one of the top 3 run stuffers in the NFL at defensive tackle. I don't think they're going to run towards him. They're going to run pistol outside zones. I think they're going to stay away from trying to really punch it up the gut. What I think is going to happen is when the Buccaneers stunt and when they lose lane contain, Daniels will burn them, and the linebackers for Tampa Bay aren't young anymore. They've lost a step. I believe Daniels can take advantage of that defense. Offensively, I think this is going to be a shootout. I think this will be a Sunday night shootout. And we are talking old school. Kansas City Chiefs versus Indianapolis Colts in the playoffs. We are talking about high flying, high scoring a game. The winner may have to score 40 points. Both teams can do it. Who do I think is going to be better at the end of a game? Uh, My head is telling me go with Tampa Bay. They're home, rookie team, but I can't. I can't. My heart love for the Washington Commanders, which name will be changed back to what it should be eventually. My heart love for that team, I know they've had their games where they've dropped. I think being Sunday night helps them a little bit. I think the more that you're able to kind of go through the day, get the playoff game jitters slightly out through the day because you're just waiting and waiting. So eventually, when you get there, you get your high, but it's Sunday night football. You've been already thinking about this all day. The butterflies don't have as much as of a buzz in your stomach anymore. I think they'll be okay. High scoring game, 42-38 Washington. 42-38 Washington. I think both these teams can score. I think it's must-see TV, wildly entertaining. Jaden Daniels makes the last drive, and when Dan Quinn could kick a field goal to tie the game, he's going to go for it and go for the W, and Daniels will deliver. That is my prediction. So I got the Eagles mainly. I got the Commanders. And then Monday Night Football. This one's odd to me. The Vikings are favored by 1 right now. Vikings are favored by 1. Everybody is counting on a bounce back game from the Vikings. The Rams haven't put together a full game in over a month. I think the last full game they put together was the basically perfect game against the Buffalo Bills on Sunday Night Football. So I'm going to go to the coaching side. Kevin O'Connell knows McVay's coaching style, but McVay knows O'Connell's coaching style. Brian Flores will know what their goal is. But the same is going to be true for the Rams defense that really can just take the playbook that the Detroit Lions did and do it again. It's still on the road. Now, whether it's in Arizona or LA, we do not know yet. The NFL came out today and said it would be moved to Arizona should the fires continue. They're on Hollywood Hills now. And pause on that note. If you are out in California, if you're anywhere near the fires, thoughts, prayers, and blessings your way of all the things, and my wife laughs at me. There is really only one thing that actually scares me. I've done a lot of different the research and looking at different things that happen and watching side by side comparisons. I love fireworks. I can absolutely be a pyromaniac with fireworks. Very responsible with them. I know most pyros say that. I don't let my kids do it. Last year was the first year my oldest, who was a teenager, used the lighter on the fireworks. Um, I make sure everything is safe and secure for everybody that's around because I put on big fireworks shows. I love fireworks, but fire scares me. Of all the things I don't play with, it really is fire. I built some of the biggest bonfires in the backyard. The hose is sitting right next to me, and everything is outlined in brick. And anytime anything comes outside of the, the fire pit area, it's snuffed out immediately. I don't play with fire, but I love it, and it scares me all at the same time. So if you're out there in California, please be safe. If it is smart to evacuate, please do it. I cannot imagine uh, January. It's wildfires in California. Be safe. Please be safe. But going back to the game, whether it's in LA or Arizona, which I think Arizona would actually help LA a little bit more because they play there every year. I do believe the Rams will be able to copy the Lions playbook. The Rams pass rush is even better than the Lions. The Rams corners are just as good as the Lions, if not better. The safeties, I would argue, are just as good. So really, you're talking about an upgraded pass rush with Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, Young, and Turner. And on the offensive side of the ball, the offensive line for the Rams is healthy. Kyren Williams always gets his rushing yards. And I believe the Lions showed, and even the Packers the previous week showed, you can run on the Vikings. And if they can run on the Vikings, they can do play action. Cooper Kupp has been mostly a blocker this year. I'd use Cooper Kupp as the tight end rollout. I still trust him. This could be his last year. I believe if he's honest, he may call it quits after this year, and rightfully so. He looks like a shell of himself. I think he's going to give it everything he's got for these playoffs, and that'll be all he has left in the tank. My head says Brian Flores' defense can cause havoc. My head says the Rams' defense will also cause havoc. The Vikings scored 9 points last week. Now, red zone was horrible. Red zone efficiency was horrible. Riker missed, a couple field goals. The problem I have with what O'Connell did last week with the 4th down and goals, you got to take the points. And in those situations, they were points. I believe situationally, McVay may be a little bit more tapped in than O'Connell is. I believe matchup-wise, the Rams win the matchup. Defense over the Vikings offense a little bit more than the Vikings defense against the Rams offense does. So I thoroughly believe this could be a knockout, drag-out fight that lasts for 2 hours and 45 minutes. And at the end of it, the winner scores 20 points and the loser scores 16. So I'm going to go with the Rams 20-16 over the Vikings in a playoff game that's going to be, I think it's going to be a dogfight. But I think you're going to see great plays by both defenses. Washington, Tampa Bay, you're watching for offense. Minnesota, LA, you're watching for defense. I think defensively it's going to be a really stout game. Really stout game. I'm going with the Rams. So if everything comes the way that I just predicted, we're going to have the following week Texans at the Chiefs or Chargers at the Chiefs. The winner of the Texans-Chargers game will go to the Chiefs. And the Ravens go to Buffalo. The Commanders go to Detroit. And LA would go to Philadelphia. Now, what could really make it interesting is the Packers could beat the Eagles. Commanders beat the Bucks. And then you have the Packers going to Detroit and the Commanders going to LA. Either way, the Lions needed the bye week. The Chiefs rested basically everybody against the Broncos. I'm more worried about them not being ready to play. We've seen what's happened when teams take 2 weeks off before. Many times. They didn't even suit up. They were in street clothes. The reality is, we'll see what happens. You can come out and be completely flat until the second half. But we'll save that preview for next week for the divisional round. We got Super Wild Card Weekend. It's where we're at. It's what we're doing. That's going to be it. That is going to be it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, if you're out in California by the fires, please be safe. Thoughts and prayers are with you. See, it's Friday, Saturday, don't really have anything. I'm just going to be watching the games. Guess I should probably pick. I like the college football playoff games. To make a couple quick picks, close us out here. I really hope they're great games. I think Ohio State, I trust them more than I trust Texas. I don't like Quinn Ewers. I haven't. I don't like Ewers. I think he is what holds Texas back. I don't think Sark moves off from him fast enough to Arch to be able to change the game. Texas should win. They won't because their quarterback can't help them. Notre Dame, Penn State, my gosh, I hate picking this game because I think I'm going to be wrong no matter which one I pick. I really want to see Notre Dame. I told my dad at the beginning of the year Notre Dame would get the 5 seed and that I thought Notre Dame was the team that could make it to the final. Because I thought they had the team. It didn't look like it early. They've grown into it late. The team that everybody thought they were going to be, they have turned into. I really like Notre Dame's defense. If Abdul Carter doesn't play, I think it makes it easier. I think it's a great game either way. I'm going to pick Notre Dame. That way we don't have an all Big Ten championship game. It would be funny if it was. But I'm going to pick Notre Dame. Notre Dame over Penn State, Ohio State over Texas, and then we'll talk about the championship game when it comes around. So there's there's that. There's that. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your weekend coming up. Enjoy Super Wild Card Weekend. Enjoy the playoffs. And I will see you guys on Tuesday. Until then, for Sports Talk with Hawk, I'm Hawk, and I'm out.